The Detroit Pistons tie the franchise record, win 13 straight games, go on to 15-2 after defeating the Indiana Pacers with the help of their superstar, closing the door on the divisional rival.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years for the Locked On Network, been a credential media member over the last 3 years, and I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. I also got to thank you guys for helping make Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast in America now officially. Appreciate all of you guys' support. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Later on, we'll talk about Caris LeVert and Jaden Ivey coming through for the Pistons off the bench with some big-time minutes and some big-time buckets in crucial moments. Came through for them. Also, are we getting an idea of what the rotation is going to be? Is Daniss Jenkins going to be out the rotation? And is that the right decision? We'll talk about it coming up. But obviously, we have to start with the Pistons tying the franchise record. 13 straight wins. They are now 15-2. Let that sink in. They have won 13 straight games, and the Detroit Pistons are 15-2. We're going to talk about the game. I'm going to talk about Cade. But I kind of want us to just sit back and really acknowledge that the Pistons are 15-2. Like, people, I feel like people are kind of just tossing it to the wayside outside Detroit. Like, oh, have they really beat a contender? Have they, all this other BS. 2 years ago, the Pistons set the record for most losses in a row in a single season. 2 years ago, the Pistons had one of the worst seasons in NBA history. 2 years ago, the Pistons had the worst season in Pistons history. The future looked bleak. Everything was dark. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. We didn't know if this young core was even going to make it through the offseason that year. We didn't know if they were going to be traded. We didn't know if anyone, we didn't know anything. It was terrible, dark times in Detroit just 2 years ago. And now 2 years after setting the record for a losing streak, they're trying to set the record this Wednesday for the longest winning streak in Pistons history. It's a turnaround that needs to be talked about, congratulated, nonstop. Because what the Pistons are doing right now, we're all I feel like at this point we're like, oh yeah, they're going to win this game. Oh yeah, they're going to beat this team. They're just better than them. Being this locked in night to night is not normal. Winning this many games in a row is not normal. Being this good so fast after being so bad just a few years ago is not normal. The Pistons are having, yet again, after having a special season last year, they are once again following it up with another special season that finds them in the first month and a half of the season attempting to set a record for Pistons history. This has been an absurd season. Everyone, and I know they are, but everyone should be extremely happy with how this is going for the Pistons. No one could have imagined this. They've completely turned this franchise around. 2 years ago, no one knew where the franchise was going. Cade Cunningham and the rest of the crew has turned this franchise around. 13 straight wins, tied a record. Pistons history, they have a rich history. A rich history. Bad boys, going to work teams. And the Pistons, the 2025 Pistons just tied the record. They're going for it on Wednesday against Boston. And in order to get that 13th win, they needed their clutch player of the year, the NBA's clutch player of the year so far. And if he continues to do this, he will be the NBA clutch player of the year. What they needed was for him to come through and close the door on an Indiana Pacers team that cut the game down to 2 points with 49 seconds left. This was after being down 14 with 4.5 minutes to go. This was also after being down 20-plus points. Pistons were in firm control the entire game, dominated the game the entire game. And then TJ McConnell came into the fourth quarter, started getting the crowd hyped, told the crowd to get crazy, looked at JB Bickerstaff, told him to call a timeout. Then JB, I don't know if he was going after TJ or the ref, or either way, he didn't like that. Got the momentum going over to Indiana's side. And then at the end of the fourth quarter, run starting at 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Cade Cunningham hits a pull-up jumper, gives him a hezzy crossover pull-up midi, drains it, puts the Pistons back up by 10. Then the next few possessions, the Pistons go away from Cade. I really did not like this at all. I did not like the fact they went away from Cade, but they went to Tobias, one-on-one against Pascal Siakam. Late shot clock wasn't great. Caris LeVert then had his own possession where he went, and he was good. We'll talk about him later, but he went, had his own possession, isolation. I forget who he went against. I think he went against Nembhard. Didn't go very well. Miss. Then Tobias, they got a steal, threw it up to Tobias with a chance to get a fast break layup. He fumbled the ball on the drive, lost it. Then Indiana comes back down off that turnover, immediately draws free throws, gets it to a 2-point game. And now all of a sudden, in a matter of like 20 seconds, what looked like it was going to be a 7-point lead, 5-point lead, now all of a sudden it's a one-possession game, and now you're in a barn burner. And what does Cade do? Cade comes down with 25 seconds left, very methodically, gets one screen, calls for one screen, gets one matchup. Says, nope, okay, now I want to get another screen, get the next matchup I wanted, because they're trying to hide the matchup he wanted. But no, he called up 2 screens back-to-back to get the matchup he wanted, which was Mathurin. Once he got Mathurin on him, there's around 7 seconds left in the shot clock. He takes him down to the mid-post area, backs him down, babies him, then elevates over him for a hook shot. Of course, he drains it, puts the Pistons up by 4. And that was the dagger. That was what put the Pistons up double figures, or, my goodness, not double figures, 2 possessions, and that ended the game for the Pistons. They had to hit a few free throws later on to continue to play the foul game, but that was the dagger. We've talked about it over and over, how good Cade Cunningham has been, or in the fourth quarter this year. And while this game should not have came this close, should not have been this close at all, this should have been an easy win for the Pistons. Cade talked about it after the game in his interview with Johnny Kane, said he wasn't happy that they let the Indiana Pacers back into it. They can't let that happen. That was really upsetting, but they ended up closing it out. The fact of the matter is, should they have been that close? No. They were in firm control. They got to just close that one out easily. But the fact of the matter is that it did become that close. And they did need heroics. And they did need their superstar to come through. And they did need Cade to close the door. And damn it, he did do it. And he's done it all year. It's all year so far this year, he's done it. The fourth quarter, in case you guys forgot, fourth quarter so far this year, Cade Cunningham is averaging 10.5 points a game. In just the fourth quarter, 10.5 points. 54% shooting from the field, 57% on twos, 46% from 3, 65 true shooting percentage. He's averaging a half a turnover a game in the fourth quarter. Half a turnover. When the time comes for his number to be called, when they need him to close a game out, when you need your star to outperform their star and close the deal, Cade has shown up over and over and over and over again during the Pistons' 13-game win streak. And that's one of the big reasons why they're on this streak, is because their star is playing well, but when they need him most, he's slamming the door shut multiple times on opposing teams. Again, it shouldn't have gotten this close against the Pacers. They're not a good team. And they were in firm control the entire game. But it did get this close. And in past years, the Pistons would have gave this one up. They would have fell apart, and the Pacers would have pulled this one out. But in 2025, the Pistons have a superstar. They have the NBA Clutch Player of the Year so far, and he closes them out. Cade Cunningham is absolutely fantastic. Absolute fantastic player. 24, 11, and 6 tonight for Cade. Damn good player. Damn good player. And the Pistons are lucky they got him as their franchise player. Coming up, it wasn't just Cade, though. While he came through and continued to close teams out, it wasn't just Cade. The Pistons got help throughout the roster, throughout the lineup. But specifically, 2 guys that really came through for the Detroit Pistons. Caris LeVert, and in his second game back from injury, yes, you know who I'm talking about, Jaden Ivey. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, so expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move with Robinhood. Now I gotta tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Drip Drop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. And that's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. Hydration has become non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly just better overall. So right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free to available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. That water, man. Water hits different. You get yourself a nice little ice water or a little cold water bottle. Nothing hits quite like it. The Pistons had Cade Cunningham obviously close the game out like we just discussed. But just like it has been all year, it wasn't just Cade. Cade has had help all season long. He has a very deep cast of supporting players around him. And we'll talk about that deep cast later because we did see an 11-man rotation tonight, not 12-man. We saw an 11-man rotation tonight. And I think we started to see a little idea of them drifting closer and closer to a 9-man rotation. And drifting, we're getting an idea of who these two guys that may be left out. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But the Pistons got a good performance from a lot of guys tonight. I thought Duren played fine. He was a little bit off in this game. Defensively wasn't his greatest game. He's missing some free throws in this game. The free throw percentage has been down recently. You'd like to see that continue to go back up. But over the last few games, it has been creeping down a little bit. But it wasn't like he played a bad game. He had 17 points, 12 rebounds on 6 of 10 shooting. He didn't play bad. He contributed, played his game. Wasn't his best game ever, but wasn't his worst. Played fine. Ausar had 13 points on 9 shots attempted in this game. I talked about it in the last podcast a little bit. I spoke about it a lot on Twitter as well. If you follow me, you saw me talk about this. But I was hoping that Ausar would continue to be aggressive and that these last 2 games were just like a blip, that we'd continue to see aggressive Ausar. And we did see that in this game. He was extremely aggressive on the offensive end of the floor when he did get his chances. He missed an alley-oop dunk, which, Ausar, can we stop missing bunnies? That should be at 15. Missed an easy alley-oop dunk. I don't know what happened there. But good game from Ausar. Defensively, I feel like defensively, he's been even more locked in than usual, just pressing guys all game. It was ridiculous what he was doing in Nembhard. Tobias, I thought played a fine game too. He had a few really key buckets at the end of shot clocks where the Pistons didn't have anything going. They gave it to him in the post, and he just ended up making a shot. He had one key basket in the fourth like that. That was really impactful. But I felt like the 2 guys that really came through for the Pistons in a very important time was Caris LeVert and Jaden Ivey, who was playing in his second game back. He only played 11 minutes in this game, which is interesting to me. I want to start with Ivey, obviously. I thought Ivey early in this game, I thought you were starting to see a little bit of the rust early in the game. But then the third quarter came, and I thought the last 2 minutes of the third quarter, not only was it by far the best stretch of his 2-game season. I mean, it's only 2 games, so it's not like we're working with a lot. But that 2-minute stretch was a fantastic stretch from him, and it came at a perfect point for the Pistons because that's really when the Pacers tried to make it a game. They started to make a little bit of a comeback. They cut it to a 5-point game with 2.5 minutes left. And then Ivey came through with multiple plays on both ends of the floor. Both ends. He had a nice driving kick early in transition that he didn't get the assist for because they did an extra pass off of it, but the shot was generated off him. Early transition, they kicked it ahead to him. He drove immediately, like 18, 19 seconds left on the shot clock, got into the paint, defense sucked in, he kicked it out to the corner, then extra pass to the wing. They end up scoring a bucket. That's all generated from Jaden Ivey. He doesn't get the assist, but that's all generated from him. Then on defense, prior to this 2-minute stretch, we were watching it live on playback. If you want to join us for the live watches, go ahead and click the link down below. But during the live watch, I'm sitting there talking about, oh, he made a mistake here defensively. Okay, he made another mistake here defensively. It wasn't looking like a great defensive game from Ivey, and it's only his second game back, so you're not trying to kill him too much for it. But then back-to-back, he made very good plays on the defensive end of the floor. One of these plays, the Pacers ran a pick and roll at the top of the key, flowing to their left. They had Jay Huff, I believe his first name is, or I know his last name is Huff. I believe his first name is Jay. Stretch big. I believe it was Nembhard flowing to his left. The Pistons end up having to go with Nembhard. And now Huff, who is a really good three-point shooter, already hit a few at this point, at the top of the key, wide open. And Jaden Ivey makes a really good timing rotation, takes that away. And then the Pistons end up being able to rotate in the back end, and they take away that open three that was there. Nembhard looked like he was going for it, but Ivey made that rotation and took that pass away. That was an incredible play from him. It's not going to be a big-time steal. It's not going to be a big-time block. But those are the kind of key rotations you need to see from Jaden Ivey on the floor. So I love that defensive possession from him. Then he had another possession after that where he doesn't get the steal for this, but he forced the turnover on Jarris Walker out of bounds early in their shot clock around along the left sideline. So then he does a great job with that. Two really good defensive possessions at the end on that end of the floor. He has a driving kick that ends up generating an open shot for the Pistons and a bucket for the Pistons. Then he ends up scoring in transition on a crazy up and under layup at the rim, which gave him 9 points with 1 minute and 12 seconds. And then with 27 seconds left in the third quarter, he hit a step back three. So in just that 2-minute stretch, that right there was his best stretch we've seen from him when you take into account both ends of the floor. Made the right plays defensively, made the right rotations defensively. Drove and kick, did a great job playmaking, finding an open guy. Then did a great job at the next possession of getting to the basket in transition. Had a great finish at the rim. Then he hits a step back three. Like, that's all of that stuff right there is what you want to see from Ivey throughout a game. And as he works himself back, you hope to see it more consistently, especially the defensive stuff. I think the defensive stuff is what's been probably one of the more frustrating things with watching Ivey over the last few years, is that he'll have plays where he shows, I can make that rotation. I can make that play. I know where I'm supposed to be. And then he'll have plays, back-to-back plays, where it's like, okay, you showed us you can do that, but then you do this. Like, come on, be more consistent. That 2-minute stretch was excellent. Was absolutely excellent. Not only, again, was it excellent from him, it came at a time where the Pistons needed it. The Pacers were on a run. Stu had just fouled a three-point shooter. They were only up 5. And then Ivey comes through for them in this stretch and helps them push the lead back up to double digits at the end of the third. In just a 2-minute stretch, they go from only being up 5 and the game looked like it's in the balance. Oh, okay, got control again. 13-point game going into the fourth quarter. Best stretch of, again, Ivey's brief season so far, 2 games. But he looked really good during that stretch. I absolutely loved everything we saw from him during the end of the third quarter. And then obviously Caris LeVert, who also contributed in that time frame. He had a nice deflection on the defensive end with around like 2 minutes left. I believe it was around 2.5 minutes left. He had a nice pull-up three as well with 1:41 to extend the Pistons' lead to 8. And then overall for Caris LeVert in this game, extremely efficient. He had 19 points on just 9 shots. He got to the free throw line 9 times. He only made 6. You would have liked to see that be a little better. But 19 points on just 9 shots. Incredibly efficient. In 22 minutes of action, came in and was instant offense. That's what the Pistons wanted from him when they signed him in the offseason. Coming into the game, you are our offense when you come into the game. You are a quick offense. You are a shot creator. Go and get a bucket. Go create shots. And he did that in this game against the Indiana Pacers. And again, I mean, we've talked about this a few times. It's not just this game for Caris. Caris, the first few games of the year, yes, were not the greatest. But over the last 8 games of his season, he is averaging 12 points a game on 66 true shooting. He is scoring a ton in limited time on extreme efficiency. He has been excellent for the Pistons over the last 8 games, and that's not even taking into account how good defensively he's been. He's been extremely good defensively, not just at the point of attack, but getting deflections, rotating at the rim, getting passing lane steals. He's been extremely active on the defensive end, and that length and wingspan that we heard about all offseason of, yeah, you lose Schroeder, but we brought in Caris LeVert. He's going to help us with, he's going to give us more size and allow us to be more versatile defensively. All that talk is playing out right in front of us. Really good offensive game from Caris. He's been really good offensively the last 8 games. But again, the two-way impact. I think that's one of the biggest things that's going so well for the Pistons, is that they have players that better fit their identity. Malik was big for their culture, big for their locker room. Schroeder, when he was acquired, he was big in their locker room. THJ was big for the locker room. All these, they all contributed last year heavily, but none of them fit the defensive identity of this team. And now this year, the Pistons walk into this year with Isaiah Stewart playing more minutes, Ron Holland playing more minutes, Daniss Jenkins, who's a dog on defense. We'll talk about him coming up. Javonte Green, who's a dog on defense. And then Caris LeVert, who's a dog on defense. They have size everywhere. They have length everywhere. And no matter where you look on the court, someone has length. Someone has size. Someone's giving their all defensively. It's hard to find weak spots within the Pistons defense. There are some. Duncan gets attacked at times. But outside of that, it's hard to find so far this year weak spots on the Pistons' defensive end of the floor, because Trajan Langdon made that a point of emphasis in the offseason. And Caris LeVert, I was skeptical of the signing in the offseason. I was not a fan of it. So far, he has absolutely proven me wrong. He's been very good on the defensive end of the floor, and especially over the last 8 games, he's been incredibly efficient and been that instant offense the Pistons have needed. He's helped close out some games. He closed this game out. Not literally with shots, but he was on the floor closing this game out for the Pistons because of how well he's played. He's helped release some pressure off of Cade. He's allowed Cade to play off ball some. It doesn't seem like everything's on Cade at all times. Not just because of him, but Caris is playing, obviously because of Caris, but also Daniss, Asar, JD. Caris has been a very, very good acquisition. Very good acquisition for the Pistons so far, especially late. They're just getting impact everywhere, man, and Caris is one of the main guys. And Jaden Ivey in just 11 minutes of action with 12 points. Really liked how he played, especially at the end of the third quarter. I thought it was really good. And I'm sure we'll talk about this actually, I'll save for how Ivey's playing. Honestly, I don't even know if we really should hyper-analyze that, because it's his first 2 games back. It's only 26 minutes of action. Analyzing how he's playing and how he's, leveraging his athleticism and how the Pistons are utilizing him in the half court, what they're having him do. Don't know if it's really, we don't have nearly enough of a sample size to feel like, okay, that's what their plan is, or if it's just, a random 26 minutes. So actually, we'll table that for maybe a week, 2 weeks from now, when we have a little bit of a larger sample size. But let me know, comment section down below, or over on Twitter, @Khahil, how you feel about how Jaden Ivey and Caris LeVert contributed to this game tonight and the success of the Pistons. But coming up, I told you guys in the last episode, I know a lot of people didn't want to hear this. It seems like a lot of Pistons fans were in huge favor of the 12-man rotation because they love their whole team. They love their Pistons. They love all the contributors. I told you guys last episode, 12-man rotation, that just doesn't happen. It's not possible. You don't see that because it's not possible. You don't see it in the NBA because it doesn't happen. And in this game, right after we heard that they were going to try to do a 12-man rotation, they did an 11-man rotation. And with that 11-man rotation, it really kind of felt like a 10-man rotation. We'll talk about what I mean coming up. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets, fast, easy, and stress-free. Their zone deals are an absolute game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And actually, speaking of Game Time, I just had one of my friends text me and say, do you know anywhere to get some good tickets? Well, let's go ahead and let them know, everybody. Game Time, and use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Go ahead and let them know. Look at that. I just saved my guy $20 off. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Thank you, Locked On. Okay. So, bro, I just realized something. I accidentally just clicked this. Did I not post a podcast yesterday? Dog. Hold on a second, bro. Bro, we didn't post a pod yesterday. Dog, what? I forgot to click publish? Bro. And none of you guys said anything to me? Dog. What the... I haven't done that in so long. You guys remember earlier in the podcast, I used to do that every now and then. I used to forget to click publish. I haven't done that in forever. No one said anything. Oh my, I'm actually... So many people were probably wondering, cool, why didn't you drop a podcast on Jaden Ivey's season debut? How did I forget? What the... All right, anyways. That's a big-time mess-up by Khahil. Big time mess-up. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not where I think I am. Who knows? Maybe am I washed? I might be washed. Anyways, so last episode, some of you guys didn't even hear this, so I guess check out the last episode if you haven't heard this part. Last episode, I talked about how the Pistons were not going to be able to run a 12-man rotation. It was fun to talk about. It's fun to see everybody play. It's fun to say, oh, we're rewarding everybody for playing. I said, I'm sorry to be the Debbie Downer. Playing 12-man rotations in the NBA, it doesn't happen. One game later, after JB said they were going to try to play 12-man, they didn't even play 12 guys. They played 11. They played Asar, Tobias, Jalen Duren, Duncan Robinson, Cade Cunningham, Caris LeVert, Isaiah Thomas. I am really off my game today. Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey, Daniss Jenkins, and Javonte Green. It's 11 guys. Of those 11 guys, only 7 of them played 20 minutes or more. The other 4 played 11 minutes or less. One of those include Jaden Ivey, who we know is going to play more than 11 minutes as he continues to work his way back. So he's going to have to take minutes away from somebody else, with them having an 11-man rotation. So even this 11-man rotation is not going to be sustainable unless you want Ivey to average 11 minutes the rest of the year. Like, that's not going to happen. So, even more minutes will have to be cut. Even with the 11-man rotation, we saw Daniss Jenkins basically be out the rotation. Didn't play at all in the second half. Got 7 minutes in the first half. Didn't see the floor at all in the second half. And in the first half, I thought he played really well. In just 7 minutes, he had 5 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Hit 1 3, got to the free throw line. Was really good on the defensive end of the floor. Had a really good block at the rim. Really good rotation. Again, that's for a small guard who did that. I thought Daniss played really well. And then when he didn't play in the second half, I was pretty shocked. But if we're going to read into this, it seems like that Daniss is the next one out the rotation then. And we'll continue to see if maybe things change moving forward. Game to game. But I kind of felt like if there was someone that's going to be left out, it felt like it was going to be Daniss because with Ivey back, you got Caris who handles the rock. You got Cade that handles the rock. You got Ivey who handles the rock. You got Asar who handles the rock. JD. Like, was there just not going to be reason to play another point guard that needs ball handling? So, again, it's one game with everybody kind of back. But the early indications with everybody back in the first game, for real. I guess second game if you want to count it. But first game, for real. Daniss only played 7 minutes. Does that mean he's going to be out the rotation? Maybe. We'll watch it. The reason why earlier I say it kind of felt like just a 9-man rotation, because even Javonte barely was on the floor. He played 11 minutes, but the majority of those minutes came in the first half. Barely played at all in the second half. It really was just the starters, Caris, Isaiah Stewart, Ron, and Jaden Ivey. And again, Jaden Ivey only played 11 minutes. He's going to play way more than 11 minutes, which means he's going to have to take a lot of minutes from other people, which means you won't have an extra 18 minutes to give out to the final 2 guys on your bench. You just won't. Unless you want Ivey playing under 15 minutes a game. So, I think you're getting a clear early indication that all that 12-man rotation stuff was obviously not real, not legit, because nobody does it. You have guys that you need to start playing as they get better and as they get better conditioning. And it seems like the first 2 guys that would be out the rotation once Ivey gets up to speed is going to be Daniss and then Javonte Green. And then it looks like they're going to be relying upon early indications. Again, this is just early indications. Maybe things change. But early indicators say that it's going to be like hovering around a 9-man rotation with Ivey, Ron, Stu, and Caris off the bench. Or if Ivey eventually comes into the starting lineup and take Duncan out, whatever, do your swap. But that's the 9 guys. I don't know. And I don't know if that's the right decision. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Daniss has played so well and has been so good that I don't know if I agree that taking him out the rotation is the right decision here. I feel like Daniss has played so good. Like, he hasn't just played good for a 2-way. He's been legit good. So I don't know if I think he should be out the rotation. I think he should be guaranteed minutes, and he didn't play at all in the second half. Barely played in the first, so I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that decision, man. I'm not going to lie to you. We'll see. We got a game coming up on Wednesday. We'll see if they continue to go this way. I believe Wednesday's game is a cup game as well. Against Boston, they play at 5. An early game. So, yeah, I'm almost 100% sure it's a cup game. So, pretty serious game. And we'll see if the rotation starts to shape up how it looks like it's going to shape up with these early indicators. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. Do you guys agree with taking Daniss Jenkins out of the rotation? Or do you think he should be guaranteed a pretty decent amount of minutes in the rotation? Let me know. Again, wherever you interact with me, whether comment section, Twitter, all that stuff. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.